From Ebbets Field, where Jackie Robinson broke baseball's color barrier, to the Polo Grounds with its bizarre 483-foot center field, these ballparks were torn down as teams moved on to bigger, more modern homes. Here are some of Major League Baseball's most iconic ballparks that left their mark on America's pastime before disappearing forever. Hey, I'm Mike and welcome back to TFC Stadiums. Our first stadium on the dock today is Forbes Field. Named for British General John Forbes, the ballpark opened on June 30th, 1909, becoming one of the earliest Major League ballparks built entirely of steel and concrete. Backed by a $1 million investment from owner Barney Dreyfuss, the park featured a neoclassical design with a limestone and brick facade accented by terracotta ornamentation. The ballpark's steel framework used riveted construction, which was state-of-the-art for its time. Above it rose a barrel-vaulted roof supported by steel trusses, while underground, pipes and gravel beds formed a drainage system that kept the field dry. As a pitcher's park, the playing field measured 360 feet down the left field line, 376 down the right field line, and 462 feet to center field. The outfield walls stood 12 feet high throughout, constructed of reinforced concrete and covered with ivy in later years. The warning track extended 15 feet from the wall and consisted of crushed brick mixed with clay. Seating 25,000 fans, Forbes Field introduced several innovations, including the first luxury boxes in baseball history, located on the mezzanine level behind home plate. Over the years, the ballpark became the stage for historic moments. Babe Ruth hit the final 3 home runs of his career there on May 25, 1935, and Bill Mazeroski hit a walk-off home run in Game 7 to clinch the 3rd World Series title for the Pirates in 1960. 11 years later, the stadium was demolished. Comiskey Park opened on July 1, 1910, with a red brick facade trimmed in limestone that reflected Chicago's industrial character. Built for $750,000 under Charles Comiskey's ownership, it quickly earned the nickname the Baseball Palace of the World for its size and luxurious design. Structurally, it was the 3rd steel and concrete ballpark to open in the major leagues. At its opening, it seated 32,000 fans, making it one of the largest ballparks of its era. A roof of steel trusses supported a canopy that extended over the entire seating area, protecting fans while creating a distinctive architectural profile. The original design also included luxury boxes behind home plate and a press box that was considered state-of-the-art for its time. On the field, Comiskey Park featured symmetrical dimensions of 362 feet down both foul lines and 420 feet to center, with outfield walls standing 12 feet high throughout. After decades of Comiskey family ownership, the park took on a new identity under Bill Veeck in the late 1950s. His innovations include the famous exploding scoreboard, which fired fireworks after White Sox home runs using compressed air systems and electrical circuits. It hosted the infamous 1919 Black Sox scandal, and 60 years later, Disco Demolition Night in 1979, when a promotion spiraled into a riot that forced the White Sox to forfeit a game. After 80 years of service, Comiskey Park was demolished in 1990, and the White Sox moved across the street to their new stadium. And if you've been to any of these stadiums, let us know in the comments. This next one I'm so excited to discuss because, in fact, we may see a game soon at a replica stadium not too far down the street. The Polo Grounds earned its nickname as baseball's bathtub thanks to its bizarre horseshoe configuration and the most extreme playing dimensions in Major League history. The foul lines measure just 270 feet to left and 258 to right, while center field stretched an incredible 483 feet from home plate. Along the lines, the walls stood 17 feet high, but in the vast center field area known as the dead fields, they dropped to only 8 feet. Routine fly balls down the lines could leave the park, while towering drives to center field usually stayed in play. The stadium's final incarnation opened in 1911 with a capacity of 55,000, ranking among the largest ballparks of its era. Its arched windows and decorative stonework gave it a cathedral-like presence. Inside, a sweeping double-deck grandstand stretched from foul pole to foul pole, with the upper deck jutting over the lower level. Beyond the natural grass field and cinder warning tracks stood a manually operated scoreboard in center, flanked by the clubhouses built directly into the wall. Over the decades, the Polo Grounds staged unforgettable moments, including Bobby Thompson's shot heard round the world in 1951 and Willie Mays' over-the-shoulder catch in the 1954 World Series. But in 1964, the ballpark was demolished, and today the Polo Grounds Towers housing complex covers the site. Tiger Stadium was known for its right field upper deck, which famously overhung the playing field and created a short 115-foot foul territory where even routine pop flies could clear the fence as home runs. In 1912, the site was completely rebuilt as Navin Field, with a capacity of 23,000, eventually expanding to more than 52,000. Over the decades, it became known simply as The Corner, a ballpark that came to define baseball in Detroit. The field measured 340 feet to left, 325 to right, and 440 to center, with walls ranging from 8 feet in right to 11 feet in left. Its steel and concrete grandstands gave the park strength through support pillars obstructed views. A crushed brick warning track surrounded natural grass with a crowned infield for drainage, and the manual scoreboard in left was operated from inside the wall. Renovations over time added upper decks and enclosed the design, with the double-deck layout eventually wrapping around the field to create an intimate atmosphere despite its size. Tiger Stadium also carried some of the game's most historic moments. Lou Gehrig ended his consecutive game streak here on May 2, 1939, removing himself from the Yankees lineup after 2,130 consecutive games. Nearly 3 decades later, Detroit fans celebrated the Tigers' 1968 World Series championship on the same turf. By 2009, the stadium was demolished, and today the site serves the community as the Corner Ballpark Youth Facility. Crosley Field was defined by one of baseball's most unusual playing surfaces. In the outfield, a sloped terrace began about 20 feet from the wall and rose at a 15-degree angle to street level. Along with its hillside incline, the field measured 328 feet down the left field line, 325 down the right, and 387 to center. The outfield's walls range from 12 feet in left to 15 in center, with the terrace stretching beyond to meet the street grade. The stadium originally opened as Redland Field on April 11, 1912, with a capacity of 25,000 that later grew to 29,000. A roof supported by steel trusses formed a distinctive canopy that shielded fans from the weather and helped amplify crowd noise. In the decades after its opening, Crosley Field made history on May 24, 1935, when it hosted Major League Baseball's first night game under a lighting system of 632 bulbs mounted on 8 towers. 3 years later, Johnny Vandermeer added to the Crosley Field legacy by pitching back-to-back no-hitters. Its demolition in 1972 made way for industrial development. Charles Ebbets transformed a garbage dump called Pigtown into baseball's most beloved ballpark when Ebbets Field opened on April 9, 1913. Built at a cost of $750,000, the stadium welcomed 32,000 fans in an intimate design that kept them close to the game. It featured a distinctive double-deck design with a rotunda entrance that became iconic to Brooklyn fans. Inside the rotunda, marble-lined walls surrounded floor tiles arranged to resemble baseball stitches. Chandeliers made from bats held glowing baseball-shaped globes, and on the field, dimensions stretched 419 feet to center, 348 to left, and 297 to right. Looming over right field was a 40-foot manually operated scoreboard, highlighted by the famous Abe Stark clothing store sign that dared hitters to hit sign, win suit. The ballpark relied on reinforced concrete throughout its grandstand, with a steel framework supporting the upper deck. Bedford Avenue pressed tight against the right field wall, creating quirky dimensions that favored left-handed power hitters. The outfield walls stood 10 feet high in left and right and rose to 19 feet in center, with a crushed brick warning track circling the field. Ebbets Field became the stage for some of baseball's most historic moments. Jackie Robinson broke the sport's color barrier in 1947. Less than a decade later, the Dodgers won their only Brooklyn World Series title in 1955. But 2 years later, the team moved to Los Angeles, and by 1960, the stadium was demolished. From Comiskey Park, remembered as the baseball palace of the world, to Tiger Stadium, where Detroit fans celebrated a World Series crown, these historic parks define their cities and their eras. Even after demolition, their stories remain woven into the history of the game. So, which of these historic ballparks is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.